What's going on, everybody? How you doing? It's your boy Dominique Williams, aka Mr. Back to the Money, guys, and this is the Don't Overthink Entrepreneurship and Real Estate Podcast. And I'm here today with my man Jason Wright from Intentionally Inspirational. Man, how you doing, Jason?
Doing great. Love that energy. Glad to be here, man.
Hey, man, I'm excited to be here with you, man, because you are a main part of my business. So I had to definitely get you on the podcast, man, and to share your expertise, to just share your light on this space, man. So my podcast is based on for entrepreneurs and real estate investors, because I've always just come from a background of, networking and videography, creating content on social media, just like that's why I'm attracted to a lot of stuff that you've been doing and your systems and stuff and processing. And we're going to get all into that, man. And I don't want to, take your shine. And I want you to be able to go ahead and pretty much explain who you are, what it is that you do, and, what your expertise in this business is. So what is it that you do, brother?
So right now, it's pretty niche. I'll be honest with you. I work with capital raisers in ActiveCampaign. So it's pretty much industry specific and it's pretty much platform specific. And that was not by design. That was opportunities I saw that I pivoted towards over time. So it didn't start that way, but I'm a digital marketer. I'm helping with what happens after people opt into your email list. So I hope all that makes sense.
That definitely does make sense, because that's been something that's been heavy in my business, just my background, coming from, doing some type of network marketing. And in that, I didn't have no follow-up systems. My follow-up sucked. Yep. So, me diving into the multifamily space and focusing more so on capital raising, I said, man, I need systems, man. And it's crazy how I heard about you. I told you I was looking at Hunter Thompson. I was following him, and I was like, man, I want to get into, raise masters and learn about, capital raising. And I was like, man, but I still ain't good with putting systems together myself. And they was talking about a guy. It's a guy in there that actually needs the systems to put them all together for you. And I got your email through my mentor, Charles Seaman. And to get on, looking through the email, and you was like, how you heard about, how did I hear about you? And one of them was saying, Raise Master. So okay, Raise Master. I'm going to definitely love to talk to you. And to get on the phone with you, you was like, hey, I'm that guy that's putting these systems together. That blew my mind, man. And I feel like God works in mysterious ways to line us up, man, and to be able to do business together, and to, just to have you on to share your expertise, man. So why did you choose this field?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. So it wasn't by design. It kind of ended up that way. So about 7 years ago, I knew that I was not happy working for other people. The biggest thing that bothered me was having no control over my time. Right. I live south of Indianapolis, about 35 minutes, and most of the jobs that I was working at the time would either be on the west side or the north side, which is about an hour, or maybe even downtown. And I just got to a point where I was like, God, I'm sick of spending 2 hours a day in the car. You throw in a snowstorm or a wreck, it could be longer. And the job that really was a straw that broke my back was I was working for this guy, not a real nice guy, but the guy was worth like $300 million. Right. And he's an entrepreneur. And I kind of learned about his story. And I was like, God, if this guy can make this much money, that's $300 million a year, by the way. It's like, if this guy could make this much money and he's not a nice guy and he doesn't seem to be overly smart or have any characteristics that I don't have, surely I can make enough to pay my bills and not have to work for somebody. So I started scrambling around and trying to figure out what to do, and convinced my wife we're going to start some neighborhood magazines. Quit my job, went and bought an Infinity the next day. Horrible idea. And within about 2 months, we were out of money. I was like, yeah, that 6 month savings, it's all gone. And we're screwed. So we got into a really, really tight spot. Had to ask a family member, hey, can you help me buy groceries and pay my mortgage for a few months because we're in serious trouble. she's like, I'll give you 6 months, and then no matter what, you're done. And I was like, okay. So it was enough for groceries and gas only, and the rest really fell on me, which is good because it made me scramble and scrap. And after that 6 months was up, I was like, we're going to keep trying. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was trying to write motivational content. That's where the name Intentionally Inspiration started. I was writing blogs about quitting the 9-to-5, but I hadn't really done so successfully myself. So I was like, am I an imposter? Like, what am I doing? Where's the money in this? And so I had to go back to corporate America. I was just like, I can't survive. So I got into sales, and then every minute I wasn't at work, I was working on my business. So I started podcasting. I started talking to successful people, and I started just hearing the patterns of success. And I really gathered, I was like, this stuff isn't rocket science. It sounds like consistency is really the key. And I would agree with that today. Consistency is everything. Just like working out or anything else in life that you get better at, it's the consistent action that matters. And so anyway, I remember the last job I had in corporate, so when I went back, I was in the mortgage industry. And I had this boss that just hated me. I don't know why. We just never got along. So he's like, me and another guy are going to do a trade, right? I don't like you. You don't like me. You're going to go to his team, and we're going to get somebody else. Like, okay. So I go to this other guy's team, and this guy's like, yeah, you're that podcaster, that entrepreneur guy, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, man, anytime you're not doing the mortgage stuff, go at it as hard as you can. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you quit. And that's what happened, right? I finally started to figure out, hey, man, on Upwork, there's a lot of people looking for the digital marketing stuff that I just learned myself. I learned digital marketing to try to get my blog out in front of more people, right? That's how it began. I didn't know why. I knew that when I spoke, people listened, but I was like, I don't understand where the money's at in this model, but just keep going. So I started to learn ClickFunnels and ActiveCampaign and Facebook ads, and I would go to Upwork to find writing jobs because I was like doing some copywriting and some blogging. But I was like, those marketing jobs pay a lot better and it's a lot more fun. So I started doing marketing, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing this every month. I mean, I never know where the next job's coming from, but I started making better money part-time than I was making in the mortgage industry. So my wife came to me one day, the non-entrepreneur, and said, hey, I've seen enough. Why don't you go full-time, see what you can do? And that was about 4.5 years ago. And we started off kind of doing general digital marketing, and then we focused on the sales funnel specifically, and now we just do the back end of the sales funnel, or again, what happens after people opt in. And we primarily work with real estate investors. Like most of our new business is that niche, which is great because I don't think I have any competition. So not specifically with an ActiveCampaign. So it's been a super interesting journey and ride, but I would say it's probably been about 5 major pivots from the time I started till today. And there might be 5 or 10 more. I never say, the worst thing you can do is fall in love with your idea too much and not pay attention to the market. You may say, I want to do this and it's working, but there's a much bigger opportunity here that I could just pivot into and make, 2 or 3 times as much money and reach 2 or 3 times as many clients. So that's what we've done to end up here.
That's amazing, man. Just listening to what you're saying, man. I was just blown away because yesterday I was like, well, I ain't heard back from Jason yet, but that wasn't why I went, because I always go just look at your YouTube and look at, I just went back through the package because, I set up through, I got set up through your ActiveCampaign so I can set them out, and I'm putting in my contacts. I said, I'm going to just, probably go find a little VA that just do data, put in my data. Then I went back to look at the package that you had. I said, man, I got to help and get this whole setup, man, because this is what I need. And that's when I really find someone I lock in, I said, I need these systems in place. And it seemed like as soon as I went in your email, I get a text from you. I said, I know this is what I get a text message, I get an email or some more things from some more lead magnets. I said, this guy got it sealed. And I feel like that is super important, that is no room for cracks. Can't nothing just seep through the cracks. So anytime an investor is able to get into that database, it goes right through the system, man. And I think that's important because just me personally, without having systems, or even in the past, my follow-up game has just sucked.
Yeah.
So to have that and to be able where the systems in place and all I got to do is focus on creating content, which is what I love to do. I mean, like, this is going to be a perfect partnership, man. So I love what you're doing and how you have, how you over the years put these things together. So listening to what you just said, was there some type of mindset shift that you had to have? Like, do you practice some type of self-development that gives you that push? Yeah, because I know before the success that you have now wasn't always that success. So what drove you to keep pushing to get to where you at today?
Yeah, great question. So some of those books in the video behind you are actually books I read. Top Middle, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think that's what it is. I've got the same book. I may have butchered the title. That's huge. Think and Grow Rich is huge. So when I quit the first time and I was like, oh, crap, this isn't working out like I thought it would, really quickly I started pounding the self-development because I've done entrepreneurship. I had a landscaping business out of high school. Like, I wasn't brand new to the game, but it's different when you have a wife and kids and family and friends and parents and neighbors like, you idiot, what are you doing, right? But my gut said, dude, Frank Sinatra said the best revenge is massive success. You cannot stop. Your pride will not allow you to stop. You must prove them wrong. You must prove them that you know what you're talking about. So there was a ton of self-development. The mindset part was pretty tough because if I gave up, then they were all right. And I'm not a quitter. I pretty much have two moods. I'm either happy or pissed off. And when I'm pissed off as an entrepreneur, I get stuff done. So I'll never forget this. I was in the room above me. I was on the third floor of our house where my office used to be. And I like Eric Thomas a whole bunch. So I was listening to E.T. In one of his videos, he said something. And I felt like he said it to me. And I was like, oh, man. He said something to the effect of, stop blaming circumstance and stop blaming other people for where you are right now. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I was like, you don't understand. And he literally was like, don't tell me I don't understand. I'm just listening to this. He's like, it's not about what you did, yesterday or last week. It's about what you haven't done in the last 6 months. And I was like, oh, crap, he's right. So I was like, I know what I need to do to start changing the direction of life. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I became obsessed with what you talked about, creating content that mattered, finding more of these marketing jobs. I just became obsessed. And then eventually I started getting wins, right? And just like pushing a big rock or pushing a car in neutral, the hard part's getting it moving. But once you have momentum, it's very easy to maintain. So I was just like, I'm not letting off the gas. But yeah, the mindset, I never thought I couldn't do it. One of the mistakes I made is I thought it would happen much quicker. You never know. The timeline's unknown. You never know. And just because you say it's going to be in a year, you have no idea. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 10 years. So my mindset now, and it has evolved into this, I literally believe there's nothing I can't do. So if I say, hey, I'm going to do this, I think the only thing that's going to stop me is death. Like, literally, if I die before it happens, it won't happen. But otherwise, who's going to stop me? Like, it's not even a concern.
Man, that's major. And that's the mindset that we all got to have. A lot of people want certain success levels, but if they don't visualize themselves already there, it's just not going to happen. Like, if I say that I'm going to be a multi-millionaire, I have to already start living and moving as I'm a multi-millionaire,
Yep.
And I'm big on the self-development. Like I said, I've mentored a lot of people over the years, coming from a network marketing background, a mindset, just coaching all the way around. And I always told my other business partners to go and see those things that you want. If it's a certain car that you want, you need to go test drive that car.
Yeah.
If it's a certain house that you want to go walk through that house to get a visual and get a feel of those things. Because what happens is once you leave those environments, you're going to feel uncomfortable in your current situation and start moving and start doing something towards getting to where you want to be, man.
I want to go down a road real quick. So that comfort zone, that's for me, it's been a great litmus test. So anytime I feel comfortable in business, I'm missing something. I'm not doing something right. I like to stay uncomfortable because, as you probably know, growth only occurs out of your comfort zone. right? Everybody's got a friend or friends that have been doing the same job for 30 years, right? Nothing's different today than it was 30 years ago, but they still complain about their pay or their opportunities. You cannot do the same thing that you've always done and expect a different outcome. It's not going to happen. Nobody's coming to save you. You're not going to win the lottery. No ship's coming in. So if you want different results, you must change the variables. What does that mean? Try something new, anything new to get a different outcome. So, yeah, man, I'll tell you what, right now as an entrepreneur, I couldn't be more uncomfortable if I tried. Just being honest. Got some big things I'm trying to get done this year. It's going to happen unless I die, right? It's going to happen, and it's scary, but that fear tells me I'm on the right path. That has served me well to this point, and I'm going to keep it going. So,
man, that is an absolute fact, man. Like that's major, man, and major gems. So, one of the questions that I want to ask: do you work with other people besides real estate investors? Do your systems work for other businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say high ticket service businesses they work best with. So that could be digital agencies like me, that could be coaches, things like that. They would work with physical products and e-com, but I tend to shy away because it's a little bit different. E-com obviously can be very successful with it, but for me, the high ticket service businesses are the best fit for sure.
Okay. What would you say some of the high ticket? What are high ticket service?
Yeah, so like a high ticket service, like from a marketing standpoint, like I could be a copywriter, I could be an ads guy, I could be a funnel guy. Like him. Now, high ticket, I usually call like $1,000 and up for an offer. Some people say it's higher, but something higher price point. But you're providing a service. Even if you're a coach, say you have a coaching package is $2,500 or it's $1,000 a month or whatever. That'd be a high ticket service in my book. Yep, you could even be a consultant of any kind. That would be high ticket. So, yep. Just if your product is a $15 widget, I'm probably not the best fit for you, because you're going to have to push a big volume to make big money with that. So it's much easier to work with and get results for people that have high ticket offerings.
Perfect. Okay, so I know that you focus on capital raising investors. So let's say a new investor to investing and raising capital. Are your systems guaranteed that they're going to get investors to invest with them? Or it's just guaranteed that it's gonna get some type of opt-in? Is there anything guaranteed?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I will never guarantee conversions. So I will never guarantee somebody on your list is going to become an investor. If anybody ever guarantees you conversions, run the other way, because that's impossible to foresee, right? I don't know what people are going to do. People are unpredictable. The guarantees we offer on our services involve, we'll answer all of your questions for life about the project we did for you. We'll also guarantee our architecture. So the automations, the machine will work as it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, let us know so we can either fix it or take it up with ActiveCampaign if it's a glitch. But as far as what people are going to do in different situations, it's impossible for us to tell. Now, the additional touch points that people get from coming into your automations will definitely increase your chances of getting people on the phone, having those necessary conversations, and getting more investors. So it's highly likely you're going to get more investors. It's highly likely your capital raises are going to be more successful because, like you mentioned earlier, there's a follow-up to every piece of what you're doing, right? You announce a deal, you have a webinar. If people don't soft commit, there's a follow-up. If they do soft commit, there's a follow-up to get them to the next step, so on and so forth. So it helps with that, but, we're super transparent. We're a U.S.-based team, so we speak a language you understand, literally, and those are our guarantees. I mean, even what we do, 99% of other marketing agencies don't do. They don't guarantee anything. So
great. So there's definitely golden gems. So what would you say the 3 biggest mistakes capital raisers make in this business?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I haven't even thought about the answer to that ever, but I like to see what comes to me. So problem one is people think just by saying I'm a capital raiser that all these people are going to run to them and say, take my money, invest it, right? There's got to be effort, right? There's got to be an effort letting people know you exist, right? So I'm a believer in you build the back end first, then you build a website, then you focus on traffic, and traffic is what we're doing here. It's the podcasting, the social media, the blogging. It's grabbing attention online and offline and pointing it somewhere. A lot of people don't grasp what I just said there, and they don't make any efforts, So if you start with the back end, you get some email set up, you get at least a landing page, and then you start focusing on getting your content and getting yourself out in front of people. It's a great thing to do, and a lot of people just don't do that. They just think, if I say it, they're going to come to me, and it doesn't happen that way. Another mistake is, and I kind of alluded to this, they focus on the wrong things in the wrong order, right? It's natural, in my experience, to focus on the traffic, which again is the social media and the branding and that kind of stuff. Then they worry about the website. Then they do the marketing automation last. You should do it in the reverse order, right? You want to start with the end in mind and work backwards. I spent 2.5 years doing it wrong. My wife was like, "Where's the money?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I don't know what I'm doing," right? I could make a good blog, but I had no call to action. I had nowhere for people to go. I had no plan. So if you think about the end in mind and work backwards, that will serve you very, very well. And I guess the final thing is they don't focus enough on the relationship. So I would say conversations lead to conversions, right? And instead of everything being a pitch or everything being like, you're throwing messages at people, remember there's actually real people on the other side of those text messages and those videos that are watching you and those podcasts that are listening to you. So speak to people, even that you don't know, in your real voice. Like, it's okay to be human. And if you do that, if you're authentic, you will attract people. It's a beautiful thing. When you go from just pushing content to actually speaking to people and hoping you get that engagement, it changes everything. So those are 3 big things that jump out to me. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does, man. It brings me actually to, because I was looking at one of your YouTube videos yesterday about touches, like how many touches it actually takes. So that kind of goes into, and I'm listening, I'm like, man, just off a text message is a touch. And I never thought of that. I was thinking a lot of times touches will, always have to be a verbal conversation, but it can just be staying in the loop. I've gotten text messages, when I got opted into your system, I got a few text messages, and it made me feel personal. It made it feel like a personal relationship, man. So, that there is a major thing for me when it comes to, systems. And how many touches does it actually take to get a deal closed normally?
Yeah, I mean, the average in just my business, what I found, and this was kind of recent, was somewhere around 15, which is crazy, right? So you go from my top of funnel offer for what we do is the Zoom call, right? It's the phone call. So between them, booking that call, having the call, texts and emails, some people hit me up on LinkedIn Messenger, Facebook, YouTube comments. It goes cross-platform, but when you kind of add them up in an average, it's about 15. So usually by the 5th email and my follow-up sequence after the call, people close by then. But I get a verbal commitment this weekend for somebody that's been in there for 5 months. So sometimes they come back around from a long time, So you never know. And sometimes it's one call closes, but just if you just say it's 15 and you talk to 99% of entrepreneurs and say there's a call involved in their system like there would be for a capital raiser or a high-ticket entrepreneur, just say, hey, what happens after that first phone call? If they don't buy on the first call, what happens then? Most people are like, nothing. Yeah, it's a problem. When we rolled that way, we made 1/3 as much revenue as we do now. Now that we have a pipeline, we can guarantee X amount of sales every month on autopilot because people are being nurtured by automation constantly. And as you've noticed, if people reply to anything, I dive in live right away, right? It doesn't matter what platform it's on. The one I don't really keep up with well at all is Instagram, but like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, if you reply and I know about it, I'm on it. So obviously text and email as well, but it's just super effective, man. Super, super effective. But yeah, touch points change the game for everybody. Touch points equal conversions for sure.
Great. So with those touch points, based on the when raising capital, you got 506C and 506B. For a 506B, someone that you just made, so those touches will actually pencil out and make sense. They're considered a touch on a 506B too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, oh man, that's great, man. There is.
I think if you start it, you got to have that phone call at some point. But as long as you have that phone call, I always
Right.
tell people, like with text or even ringless voicemail, don't do those cold because it's kind of creepy and weird. But as soon as you have that phone call, I'm a fan of Zoom calls. Jump on camera, even if they don't. Stay on camera always is my advice. But as soon as that's over, all that other stuff is a lot easier. So like, hey, I know this person, I'm getting to know them, so they're great for building that relationship.
Right, and that's how I do it. Usually, with any of my investors, I like to get on the phone call as quick as possible because I want to I like to feel vibes and know that okay, yeah, we can work together. Not anyway. So my first thing is to get on a phone call and see what their goals are and see how I can help them and first to see if it's a fit because I don't feel that every investor is a fit for me.
Yeah.
So, and I might not be a fit for every investor. So that's super important. And then to have that system, that consistent follow-up system behind it, it just makes it even more golden. And to me, when it comes to capital raising, it's like people want to see your expertise. They want to see you and know you and feel you and understand who you are as a person before they invest hundreds of thousands of dollars with you, man. So that there is some major gems you just
Yeah, and
shared.
what you're saying is
Sure.
they can invest with 10 people, but if they choose you, it's because they feel that connection. So it's a very relationship-driven business for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So if you can go back and tell your younger self, you can go back and tell your younger self or give some advice to your younger self, what would you tell them? What would you tell what would you tell the young Jason and to keep pushing on and what would you do?
You mean
What
the
would
young
say?
Jason that knew everything? Kind of reminds me of my son now. I would go back to the guy right before he quit corporate the first time, and here's what I'd say, because I see this mistake a lot, and I did it too. Don't quit your day job until you have a side hustle that's already established, making money consistently, because if you want to quit your day job and try to build something from scratch, you're making it so much harder than it has to be, right? It's tempting. I get it. I've been there, but it's a horrible idea. Like Chris Rock said, you can drive a car with your feet if you want to, but it doesn't make it a good idea. It's kind of the same thing. So that's one thing I would say is wait till you have that side hustle going, figured out, churning and making money consistently. The other thing I would say is patience, right? I told my wife, hey, we got 6 months worth of savings. I'll replace my income in 6 months. I just made that number up. Like it didn't happen for 2.5 years. So you got to be a lot more patient. The timeline's unknown. And the final thing I would say, and I touched on this earlier, is don't be so in love with your own ideas, your own idea of what success will look like that you miss good opportunities to pivot into something that's still in your zone of genius that makes more sense, right? We've done a lot of things that have failed. We've done a lot of programs and courses and products and offers that just didn't work. But you know what? We've tried them and we know it works for us now. And it's just rinse, wash, and repeat at this point. But I'd have some pretty hard conversations with myself and say, hey, I know this is the path you thought would work, but you're an idiot if you don't go this way. I have that conversation with myself, and as you get older, you're like, all right, let's roll, let's try it. So that's what I'd say.
Man, there's golden, man. I know 'cause look, my younger self was a hard-headed guy, and honestly, by me being hard-headed, I had to learn the hard way. But I also learned from others' mistakes as well. But I was also the one that had to just see it, and had to learn from those mistakes. And I'm not a person that regret anything of my past because my past made me who I am today, and I'm thankful for those opportunities. Just being able to grow and learn and to to be where I'm at today. So we only got probably about one or two more questions. What are some tips that you would just give entrepreneurs, real estate investors, capital raisers? What tips would you just like to share in addition to this?
Yeah, that's a great question. One is be careful who you share your dreams with. So kind of logical. If you want to be a self-made millionaire, take advice from other self-made millionaires. Don't take advice from somebody in the same position you're in if you're not there, right? So I wouldn't go to my doctor and say, hey, can you help me pick a new color for my bedroom walls? It doesn't make any sense. Go to the painter, go to the interior designer. So one thing I learned is just because somebody's successful in corporate doesn't mean they'd even survive a month as an entrepreneur. It's not the same game. It's a different level. So go to other entrepreneurs who are doing what you want to do and ask them for advice or watch what they do. Friends and family can be brutal, right? If they project their own fears on you, everybody's going to tell you it's a horrible idea, right? But people do it all the time. The other thing I would say to you is you don't need to create something from scratch. So I was obsessed for a long time with I've got to find a new offer. I've got to make something no one's ever seen. And then I started looking around going, man, I keep meeting people, and this is back in the day, keep meeting people with successful Facebook ad agencies. Wonder if I could do that. And I did, right? And so you don't have to create something new. You can follow a model that already works for a bunch of people, but the difference is you. Like all of us are different. And you think, well, it's just me, there's nothing special. Don't say that. Don't tell yourself that lie. It's a lie. Never tell yourself that again, because every person who we think special probably in their own head thinks they're not special somewhere. Eric Thomas, he's like, I'm Eric. Like, this is me. But he knows he has a gift and he uses it, but don't tell me he doesn't ever struggle with a little bit of self-doubt. Maybe a little bit, right? So we're all just people, but that boring thing that we think is, about us is what makes us special to other people. So hope that helps.
Man, it definitely does, man, because there's a lot of times, I know a lot of entrepreneurs and people that want to start businesses, but their business is similar to someone else's, and it's like, oh man, a lot of people is doing it. They feel, some people might, a lot of people is selling hair. A lot of people is out here, got a food truck. A lot of people just started a trucking business. What's going to make me different? What's going to make you different is you. Bring your expertise to that, man, and that's what you're saying. It's definitely golden.
Well, and something else, it's like the old school principles of do what you say you're going to do, right? Under promise and over deliver. Like the simple stuff, take care of people. Like it goes a long way because there's a lot of people out there not doing it that way. So it's like even if I'm normal, like I do those things from where I come from, that's normal. You are going to put yourself ahead of 90% of your competition. Do you know how many shady people are in marketing? Like it's crazy. I can't tell you how many people I've met that have been burned by digital marketers. Well, I paid up front and never heard from them again. Oops. So even by me just doing what I say I'm going to do, it's just giving me an advantage. And I'm not special in that regard. Any of us can do it, but be willing to work. Be willing to put the time in and take care of people, right? If you don't take care of your clients, you're not going to grow. I mean, clients and repeat and referral business, that's changed my life. It's one of the most powerful things in the world. So,
man, that there is golden, man. Jason, man, I really appreciate you for coming on and sharing your expertise. I'm looking forward to doing more business with you, man, and sharing. Like anybody that come to me and talks about, especially that's in the real estate space and want to focus on capital raising and I know that systems is what they need. Man, I definitely share this information and share your information with them. That's why I reached out last week. Like, is there any information I can pass on to my other clients, man? Because I know what you're doing. I'm actually seeing the systems work. So I'm excited to have you on. So is there any information you can share, any of your business information with our audience? Anything, how people can get in touch with you, anything you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So to learn more about me and what we do, just go to intentionallyinspirational.com and you can connect with us on YouTube and Facebook and see what we're up to.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you for coming on to the podcast. This, like I said, guys, this is the Don't Overthink Entrepreneurship and Real Estate podcast. And what we focus on, bringing entrepreneurs on, new entrepreneurs, already established entrepreneurs, where they can come and learn how to invest into their business, how to scale their business, and also how to invest in the real estate. Because there's a lot of investors that have businesses out there that just don't have time to be able to invest into real estate. And that's what I'm here for, to definitely help you guys to be able to get passive income and not have to stop running your business. And I'm super excited to have Jason on, sharing his expertise, and we're looking forward to having you on again, brother, maybe in another year, just to see how much you've grown. And I know you're going to continue to grow, man, and I'm thankful for having you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Absolutely, brother. Hey, listen, man, salute to you, man. Let's keep winning, man, and I'll see you
Sounds
soon,
good.
man.